And welcome back, and welcome to Your Money, Your Life with Sherill Braswell. So glad to have you this morning, Sherill.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Great. And this is the time of year when we need to talk about something very important, and that's Medicare. And something even more important that Cheryl's going to talk about this morning is scams.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, set the scene, Medicare is $1 trillion a year business.
Yes.
And about 70% of it happens over the next 12 weeks.
Okay.
So it's crazy.
Yes.
And as anytime something is, very prominent, the scammers and the schemers come out of the woodwork and go to work. And I just want to kind of give you some ideas, some scenarios of what you or maybe your parents might encounter during this period of time. And obviously identity theft is going to be a big deal during this period, because to give you some ideas, you get a phone call, hey, Miss Smith, this is John. I was just calling. You may or may not know that we're issuing new Medicare cards. These are going to have chips in them, and so we need to verify your information and get your card out to you.
Right.
And there are folks that
which sounds believable.
It does.
It sounds believable.
It does, but the bottom line, remember, Medicare will never call you on the telephone.
It's like the IRS.
Yeah.
They're not going to call you.
You're going to get a letter.
Medicare's not going to call you either.
Yeah, you're going to get a letter on that thing. So, and like I said, it's a very legitimate sounding phone call.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're not going to get a call from them to get you a new Medicare card. You can get a new Medicare card. You can go on Social Security site and order a new card.
Absolutely.
And they will mail it to you. They will mail it to you. There's also where they will call you and say, you might be eligible for this a new plan that's going to be less expensive for you. I just need to verify your eligibility. And they'll start asking you questions, and they'll ease into getting your Medicare number and maybe your Social Security number, your address, and that's where that identity theft madness gets started.
And you see it on the news all the time. It does happen.
Yes, it does.
Happens.
Yes, it does, because it's once someone gets and they will get into your banking information. Well, to pay the premium, we need to do this. And once they have that information, they can hack your bank account, and I've had it happen. I came in my office one Monday morning, and I can't remember why I went online to check something on the bank account, and it showed that the account had been frozen. That's what it was. So I called the bank. Did you spend $17,000 in London yesterday? And I said,
Lord.
No, that was not me.
Thank goodness the banks have these fraud alerts.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that they do have
Yeah, they do. They can be a pain sometimes, but
Yes.
I'd rather deal with that than deal with the fraud.
Well, just hang up.
Yeah.
If they call and say they're from Medicare and this and this and this, just hang up. Just hang up.
And one that's kind of a new scam, but this one also seems to be working very well. Miss Smith, I'm calling from the hospital. You had an MRI about 5 or 6 months back, and there's a rebate that you might be eligible for right now. And no, I didn't have an MRI. I had a whatever it was.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people will volunteer that,
Yes.
And
exactly.
And so, oh, that's right. I see. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. You did. You had that. And that also, you have a rebate that you might be eligible for.
Yeah, that'll apply to that too.
Yeah. I just need to get a little information from you. and they'll go into that. Another one that's very common is we got free supplies for you. And again, that's that little bait to hook you in and start trying to get your information. And then one that's just a pure T scare tactic. I know not everybody. You've heard about people getting the phone calls. Hi, this is Fred with the Internal Revenue Service, and we need $28,000 today, or we're going to take everything you got.
Right.
The Medicare call along those lines is, I'm with Medicare, and your benefits are going to be canceled because you haven't been making your payments. You haven't been making your premium payments.
Right.
And then they'll start into that, trying to get your banking information and pulling that information and then getting into your bank account.
Right.
And again, Medicare is not going to call you. And the other thing to always keep in mind, it is not legal for me as an agent to call you out of the blue. You have got to have given me permission to contact you.
Right.
And there's actually a form called a scope of appointment form that you need to sign, and it can be done electronically if you really need to get some information. You have to sign this scope of appointment, and it has to be done literally 48 hours before you have that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So it's and they're
so many people don't know that. This is really good information.
No, I mean everybody and it's you forget things because we've been using the scope of appointment for several years, and people like this year when I'm talking to my folks and just doing reviews and things like that. So when we have to do the scope of appointment, they look at it like, what is that? I say, we've done this before.
Right.
This is a CMS regulation. We have to get this form, and it's just literally you just checking a box saying we're going to talk about prescription drug plans, or we're going to talk about Medicare Advantage plans, or whatever it is. And the client signs that, and then I sign it and put my information on that page.
Right.
So again, the phone calls are not legitimate, and they happen. I mean, I've had my own clients. I'll be talking to them about doing something for them later on, and then I'll call them to sit down with them. Well, I got a call from Fred the other day, and he took care of that for me on the phone. I said, really? Tell me about that.
Right.
And, somebody made a cold call to them.
Yeah.
And again, not legitimate. And they're really good with that because, I've had folks say, well, I told them you were my agent, and they said, oh, yeah, I work for him.
Right. Well, you've got, Sherill, you've got to deal local.
Yes.
if you're dealing with somebody on the phone in Lord knows where, Timbuktu, how in the world, if you need something, how in the world do you access them, get in touch with them? You can't. So, all you've got to do locally is walk into Sherill's office. That's it. Or call his number.
Yeah. And if this time of year especially, please call.
Yes, I should have said call first.
Don't walk in because we do have clients that are homebound and we go see them. So we're in and out.
And I think that's a good service you provide because everybody can't get out.
Yeah.
That's really good that you provide that service. We got
folks that just can't get around, or they don't have anybody to help them get around.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing too, you'll have a lot of the, if someone calls you again, which is not legitimate to begin with, but also think about this, they'll put what I call a high pressure push on you.
Mm-hmm.
This is, Ms. Smith, this is just a limited time that this is going to be available.
Right.
And, it is a limited time during annual enrollment, but you don't have to make that decision right then.
Right.
Most of our folks, even now, even though they've been clients for a while, I'll just say, we're looking at doing something a little differently, and we'll make notes about it, and then I'll say, here you go, you take this home, you read it, and jot down your questions, and let's get back together, next Thursday and hash this thing out.
Right. When does enrollment open and when does it end?
Yeah. The annual enrollment period is October the 15th through December the 7th is the official annual enrollment period.
So next week, Monday morning, it'll be open.
Is Sunday the 15th?
I think Sunday's the 15th.
And you can do it. You can do it
well,
on Sunday.
I guess you can do it online.
Yeah. And you can. That period of time is when most, big chunks of the activity are going to take place. And, if you're an existing client, it's easy to kind of put things together for you and do a lot of this remotely.
Mm-hmm.
I can do a lot of it on the phone and
right.
email things to you, and you can DocuSign and send it back. And
the number is on the bottom of the screen, y'all. Write it down.
Yeah. And
write it down.
If our office is located at 880 Country Club Road in Rocky Mount. We're across the street from the Pizza Inn. And if you're facing the buildings, I call them the Colonial condominiums over there, Williamsburg condominiums. We're on the right-hand end, closest to the intersection.
So is there anything else we need to know this morning?
Let's see. And there are good agents out there. There's good folks out there.
Oh,
there's
yes.
good folks out there, and they're not going to pressure you.
Right.
They're not going to beat you over the head with something, and they're not going to say, yes, you need to make a change.
Right.
Because you need to, if there's possibility of making a change, a need to make a change, you look at, what I have right here today. I had folks in it yesterday, and I said, let's look at where we are right now. Mm-hmm. Look at what we got right this minute.
Right.
Tell me how that's done.
Yes.
Have you had any problems with it? And then, if something has changed in your circumstances that something else may be a better fit,
right.
then we're going to look at it, because I'm always trying, especially the clients that have been around for a while, to find things that are less expensive.
Right.
Because the cost, the premiums go up on different products, and there are ways to cut.
Yes.
To cut that expense, and so that's a big part of what we do.
If you deal with someone local and personal, and you have dealt with them for years, they know you. They know your habits. They know what you've been paying. They know what plans you have. They have your records of everything. And, you can definitely find the need for that person every year. Mm-hmm. You can look at it, assess it, and say, mm-hmm. okay, I think you need to keep the same thing you've had. Right. Or I think you might need to change because this is, and they might say, this is a little much for me to pay. Right. So, or whatever. But, if you stick with that person and somebody local, I cannot say this enough, I say it all the time with anything, deal with somebody local, not somebody on the internet, not somebody on the phone from, like I said, Timbuktu.
Yep.
Deal local.
Because if you can deal with a local business, I want you to think about this. The money that you spend is not going into some CEO's pocket that's making $82 million a week. It's going to pay for the local Little League baseball team, mm-hmm. the jerseys for those kids,
the yearbook
ads, the uniforms for the cheerleaders, all these things that are taken care of locally. If your kid takes karate classes, mm-hmm. That money that you're paying to that local business, that's what he's using it for.
Retailers. The money is spent
here.
Locally.
Yeah, spent here.
So anyway, Sherill, thank you again for coming today, and you always have really good information. So there's Sherill's number, 316-8166, and as he said, he's located across from Pizza Inn in those condominiums mm-hmm. right there. He's on the end, very end one, very easy to access on Country Club. So go see Sherill now.
That's right.
It's time.
It's time. It is time.
It is time. All right. Thank you, Sherill.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back right after this.